right, we're finally live, folks. Welcome to the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Evans, and boy, it's been a long night here at the Evans household. Major storms, beyond belief. Tornado warnings. We're in one piece, as you can tell. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be live. And we're an hour later than we usually are. But we're here. And we still have some ARCA action to talk about. This past weekend's wild road race at Mid-Ohio, and previewing this weekend's race in Berlin. So I know a little bit later, guys, but we're going to probably won't be the longest podcast. I'm just going to maybe skim through a little bit faster than I normally do, but I welcome all of you guys who are still going to join me live and the people who will watch this show later on. So I'm going to go through my little intro, and we will get right into the ARCA action. So again, follow me on Twitter, Start and Park Car. For you guys know why. You guys know why you follow me. So go follow me on Twitter, please. X Start and Park Car. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for notifications. You guys never miss a podcast when I go live. We are less than 130 subscribers away from 2,000. So if you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button. And of course, check out the Racing Experts for all NASCAR media related content. And if you'd like to send a super chat, financially support the show, it would be much appreciated. So, sorry guys, it's been a long, like I said, it's been a long night with all the storms and stuff. But anyway, Mid-Ohio, very fun road course in Ohio. It's weird when you see ARCA have a standalone race. Not only that, but a standalone road course race. We have not seen that in quite a long time with the main division. I believe 2016, 2017, New Jersey Motorsports Park was the last ARCA standalone road course race. So it's been a while since we had one. They weren't there alone. We had Trans Am, TA2, and then their TA, XGT, SGT, and GT series. And then you had the historic sports car series with their events. So it was still a very action-packed weekend at Mid-Ohio with a lot of different series and a lot of different cars running there. But it just doesn't feel the same without the Xfinity series or the truck series there. But nonetheless, pretty solid field, or at least what it looked like. 26 cars. Unfortunately, 2 of them wouldn't even make it to the green flag. So realistically, unfortunately, we have to take that back down to 24. But the entry list did look very promising. But unfortunately, you can't help part failures. It happens. It just happens. The oddball entries we had for this race, we had Brent Cruz from the Cars Tour, obviously with a part-time deal with Venturini. He was in the 55. Thomas Annunziata in a one-off entry, another one-off entry for the Jeff McClure team in a Ford this time. We had Connor Daly from IndyCar in the 30. We had Tim Richmond. They were back with their own operation. We also had Andrew Patterson from the Noble Motorsports team running, Quarterman Dale Quarterly, and Rob Pelosi, who runs in the SVRA circuit, was in the 31 for the Goulets. So, like I said, 26 cars in total. We had mentioned on last week's podcast that there were going to be a few starting parks, most notably the 48 and the 86, and more than likely the 06 and the 12. We're going to be the 4 starting parks. But I figured that the 06 might run about half the race, and the 12 might run a decent number of laps, but I didn't expect the 48 to run more than one, and sure enough, he didn't. And as for the 86, well, poor car didn't even take the green flag for a legit mechanical problem. Poor Chris didn't even get a chance to take the green flag due to a legit mechanical failure with the car. I felt bad for Chris, man. He couldn't even start the race. But yeah, so we'll go over going over the practice session real quick. We'll skim through the practice session. Definitely Sawalich, I tell you. Last year, William Sawalich did not show very much speed. I will admit, did not show a whole lot of speed on the road courses in his West Series starts and his main series starts. But, man, he must have either been practicing in the simulator or gotten road course time somewhere else because, man, the 18 team has stepped it up from where they were last year. Second quickest in practice, Connor Mosek. Pinnacle Racing is just on all cylinders clicking off. Fastest in practice, Brent Cruz, obviously a road racing guy himself as well from Trans Am. He was third. Dale Quarterly, 60-plus years old, fourth. And Thomas Annunziata in the Jeff Gordon throwback. They ran a Jeff Gordon Rainbow Warriors wrap. He was fifth. Marco Andretti finally showing some speed. And very apparent, though, that it was going to be a struggle for some of the Venturini drivers. Gio Ruggiero, he was only seventh. Chris Wright was 10th. Tony was down in 16th. Amber was in 15th. And Christian Rose was down in 18th. So a lot for the full-time drivers, it was definitely a struggle. Cody Dennison, Michael Maples, the other full-time drivers, they were struggling too. Like I said, it was Cody and Michael's first time at Mid-Ohio, and just didn't want to hurt anything. The drivers that did not take a practice lap were the 86, 48, 03, 06, and 30. The 31, I believe, did attempt to get out on track because they didn't make a single lap in qualifying or the race. From the report that I got from the Goulets was that the 31 broke not one, but two clutches that day. So they did probably attempt to get out on track, but I don't know if that the blame goes on the car or the blame goes on Pelosi. I mean, obviously, Rob Pelosi, he drives a Mazda car in sports car racing. So is it possible, was he too aggressive with the shifter or did it just break? I mean, we don't know for sure, but unfortunately, that left the Goulets with not starting the race. And that sucks because they do need the points as they're trying to build points to, be able to guarantee themselves a start at Daytona next year, which is scheduled to have another big-ass field. And, of course, just higher owner point finish in general for bonus plan money. So that sucked for them. In terms of qualifying for the race, not much really changed. Connor Mosak, again, won the pole pretty handedly. Won the pole by over half a second over William Sawalich. Brent Cruz was third. Dale Quarterly was fourth, and Thomas Annunziata was fifth. So, yeah, Mosak was on the pole. We got to the start of the race. We didn't even get one lap in as we came to the start of the race. Mosak got a great jump on the field. It was clear that the 28 was definitely going to be a powerhouse. Mosak, a road racing guy. He came from the Trans Am circuit. Got a great jump. But like I said, we didn't get far into our first lap. The 86, which was seen on the pace laps, the 86 was seen driving on the pace laps. But then as they came to the green flag, well, we didn't see it. I just assumed that the 86 had already pulled off, but apparently it had stalled. It had stalled on track. And then poor Michael Maples, he spun in turn 4, and then he got stuck in the gravel. So not one lap in, we already had our first yellow. And like I said, for Maples, man, it would be a long day for poor Michael Maples, but it was his first road course start. So you got to cut the guy a break. He's his first road course appearance. He's trying his best out there. But yeah, it was a rough day for Michael. I'm just glad he finished. I'm glad Michael Maples was able to finish the race at least. But yeah, that sucked for him. It was a long day for him, but I'm just glad he finished. But yeah, so right there out of the gate, we had lost the 31, the 86, and the 48. So, yeah, so like I said, for the good car count we had, we already lost 3 cars. Unfortunately, it wouldn't get much better as we got back green again. Not a couple laps later into the run, on lap 6, Dale Quarterly, who was running third, literally going for second place, blows up. And this was a brand new car, not the familiar cars that we have seen Dale run. This was actually a brand new car reported on the broadcast, a brand new car by the team. I would assume then a brand new engine to go along with that. Well, the engine didn't last very long, literally 6 laps. And like I said, it grenaded. And God, it was just heartbreak. With how the race went, there's no doubt in my mind that Dale probably could have factored into the finish, if not had a chance to win that race. He was legitimately as fast as the 55 and as fast as the 18. Legitimately was. There's no doubt in my mind. Had that engine not expired, I think Dale Quarterly could have won that race, especially with how the penalties would fall to the 28 team. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, they were jockeying and dicing, and it looked like, that it was going to be another battle between the 18 and the 28. Like we think, it's not going to be a Venturini day. And it did not look like it was going to be a Venturini day outside of the 55, which normally is kind of the oddball entry. But yet that car seemed to have more success. Like I said, as it won, usually 20 is kind of the primary car, but we've seen more success, frankly, out of the 55 this year, which is kind of funny. But yeah, like I said, at this point, we were down to 22 cars. Yeah, not 7 laps in. We're already down to 22 cars from the 26-car field. Along with Dale Quarterly's Engine failure immediately right on the start. Restart. Amber Balkan, she got turned. Or I don't remember if she got turned or she just lost it going into turn one, but she got stuck in the gravel trap. So it was a rough start. I admit this race had a pretty rough start to it. We just couldn't get out of the box, as you say. That's what I like to call it. We just couldn't get out of the box. Every time we would try to restart, something would happen. Something would go wrong. And the race couldn't start to build any momentum. Does that make sense? We just couldn't get any momentum into this race. And that happens sometimes with these ARCA road course races. Because like I said, this is a series. This is a series where, not many of these teams really have road course ready stuff. They just kind of take a short track car, or if all they have is an intermediate car, they take that car and they try to put the best kind of road course setup they can in it and go to the road course and see what happens. I mean, realistically, when we go to these road course races, I'd probably say less than half the field have a real road course setup, and maybe even less than a fifth of the field have an actual road course car, because a lot of these teams will just use a short track car. But nonetheless, like I said, we got back to green. This is where William Sawalich was finally able to take the lead. Definitely had more steam, but it definitely looked like that it was going to be a struggle between the 18 and the 28. They didn't get along at Iowa, and this was a different driver, a different Connor. That was Connor Zilch at Iowa, but the rivalry between the 28 and the 18, last year was the 18 and the 20. This year it's the 18 and the 28, man. And you can definitely tell, man, when Sawalich, he definitely is being challenged, and you can tell he gets way more aggressive when he actually gets challenged, because they're not used to being challenged. But Connor did not get a good jump off of, I believe we call it turn 2 or turn 3, and actually lost first and second place. Brent Cruz was able to get past him too. Got back going green again. Like I said, from the 22 spun. Mosek was down to third. Annunziata showed that even for that Jeff McClure entry, which looked like it was actually prepared at the Nitro Motorsports Trans Am team. Nitro Motorsports is a Trans Am operation, and the car was actually seen at Nitro Motorsports. And I believe Brian Keselowski, Brad's brother, who works for Nitro Motorsports' Trans Am team. I'm not sure if that's a full-time basis or a part-time basis he works for him, but if I had to guess, Brian Keselowski probably had a hand in setting up that car. And, Brian Keselowski is he knows what he's doing. He definitely knows what he's doing. So if there's anyone I'd want setting up that car, it probably was Brian Keselowski. I think he was at the track helping the Trans Am operation, but I'm not sure how much he had to do with the ARCA program. Nunziata showed very, very good speed, and the guy's been fast. Obviously, he was kind of a wrecking ball at Daytona. I kind of called him out for it, but we kind of chalked that up to being a rookie, being aggressive. So you kind of got to give him a pass for that one. But he did also a decent job at Talladega, and he's did an amazing job here. Got to his highest second place. Definitely had a winning car. It was a matter of, could that car sustain on a long run? The 44 definitely had short sprint speed, but if we went into like a 10 or 15 lap run, would that car be able to hold up over the Venerinis and the 28 and the 18 entries? And as we saw, Thomas was probably trying as hard as he could, but the car, maybe it was just the car, just could not keep up with the other entries. But we finally got a 7-lap run in, a decent run. We actually had some lap traffic in that run. They caught quite a few cars. They lapped some of the fast track entries, Club, the 06. We had another DNF2, Andrew Patterson. He fell out with an engine failure. I think they also lapped. Did they lap the Venerini, some of the Venerini cars? I don't remember, but they were lapping cars. Because Mid-Ohio is a big track. It's a 2.2 mile road course. But when you got some cars who are 6-7 seconds per lap off, it's not hard to not catch them very quickly. We finally got to the first break. We did have our final 2 starting parks pull off. The 06 of Nate Moeller, which he kind of told me. I remember Nate telling me he was going to run about half the distance at Mid-Ohio, and he did. He ran 20 of the 42 laps, so pretty much half. Mike Basham, he ended up running 25 of the 42 laps, despite being a planned starting park. So, hey, at least Mike got to run some laps. That's always nice to see Mike back at the track, even if this is just for a one-off because they couldn't find a paid driver. Always cool seeing Mike Basham back in the car. Absolutely love the Basham family. As a kid going to ARCA races, I love Daryl, Dugan, and Jason. Good people. Really good people. I really, really do miss the Bashams in ARCA. Really, really good people. And I hope Dale's doing okay. Daryl. I hope Daryl's doing okay. Because I know Daryl's gone through some real big health issues over the last couple of years. But yeah, cool to see Mike Basham back, even if it was just for a one-off. So we come back from the break. Brent Cruz is leading. Then we got Annunziata. He was all the way up to second. But again, I think it was just restart inexperience. The 28 and the 18 were able to get the jump on him. And unfortunately, Annunziata went all the way from second back to fourth, which, again, I think that's just his inexperience. He'll get the hang of it the more ARCA starts he make. I do believe he will be at Watkins Glen, probably with this same car. But that was just his inexperience right there, going from second to fourth. But I was curious to see, man, Brent Cruz, lots of talent, lots of road course ability. Could he hang up there in the lead? And it did show, but Annunziata was not going to go easy. He was aggressive with the 28. He definitely showed that car had short run speed, but as we kind of saw, it didn't have long run speed. And the 28, he was not afraid to get aggressive. He threw it right in there, bumped the 18 out of the way, and he retook second place with force. And so that tells you, man, the rivalry between the 28 and the 18, it's growing every week, man. It is growing hard. And what it caused Sawalich to have about 2 or 3 bad corners. He lost about 4 or 5 spots. Sawalich dropped to outside the top 5 with Chris Wright and Gio Ruggiero getting past him. We had Greg Van Alst. He went out for a near spin in the grass. Luckily, no damage to his car. We kept going. This was the longest run of the race, by the way. 13 laps was the longest run of the race. By this point, Brent Cruz, he had managed to keep the lead, but Connor Mosack, man, was hot on his trail. Absolutely hot on his trail. Now, during this run, we had a couple more spins. I believe the 30 spun. The 30 car spun as well, Connor Daly. But it was amazing. Just like Portland, the 55 and the 28 pulled out to an unbelievable 15-second lead over third place Thomas Annunziata. And it's not like Thomas and Gio and Sawalich were pushing. We're not pushing. I mean, those guys were going as hard as they could, and they were still consistently over half a second a lap slower than Brent and Connor. I don't care what, for how many people bash the series, those laps right there where you saw Brent and Connor just massacring the field, pulling away, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. I'm telling you, that is good stuff. And it really goes to show you, man, there's talent. There's a lot of talent in this ARCA series that's not being talked about. I know, you get the thing, it's just daddy's money's kids playing around. Well, that's most of the Cars tour as well, is daddy's money's kids just playing around. Okay? They're both the same thing, realistically, in terms of who's all in the series. But, and just finally, Connor saw the move. He went for it, dove into, I believe it was turn 2, got the lead, and right as he takes the lead, caution comes out. They go back to the last either scored lap or scoring loop, and the 55 kept the lead. It was the 6 of LeVar Scott. Poor LeVar. I actually feel bad for LeVar, man. He was actually doing a really, really good job earlier in this season, and then he had a bad run at Talladega. He had a bad run at Kansas. And just, when we have these bigger car counts that we're not used to, I mean, LeVar's championship hopes were dashed in within the first 5 races. And, with this poor finish at Mid-Ohio, it's pretty much tanked LeVar's championship when realistically the guy had a shot. I mean, I said LeVar was an underdog for this championship when we were talking before the season had even started. And now poor LeVar, the guy is he's third in points, sure, It's not like he's like 10th, no, he's third in points, but he's 48 points behind the leader. And that's just, and the ARCA series, that's just, you're not going to make that up. You're not going to make up 48 points when his teammate runs around him every single week. And Andres has been the most consistent driver when it comes to statistics. You're just not going to have that. So I feel bad for LeVar. I mean, these bad finishes have just tanked whatever chance he really had at a championship. So, sorry. Not really sure what happened. I think he did get running. He did finish the race. Through that run as well, we had Amber Balkin. She was on and off pit road with mechanical problems. Chris Wright. I did want to mention, though, last week, felt like my comments towards Chris Wright were maybe a little too harsh. So I do want to say I do apologize. Maybe my comments were a little too harsh towards Chris Wright. But he did have a literal explosion of his brakes, and some people's words who were at the track. They were on fire, so they had to retire the car. And Alex Club broke a transmission. And unfortunately, it was a brand new transmission. So that's got to suck for Alex. And so by this point, we were down to just 17 cars left on track. One story I had not talked about yet was Brad Perez. He was in the 10 car for Andy Hillenberg. Did a great job all day. Never ran. I don't think he ran any lower than 15th. Ran kind of around the 11th to 12th position pretty much the entire race. And by the end of the race, had gotten himself into the top 10. Had gotten himself into the top 10. So we come to the last big restart. And this is where the big deciding factor of the race really came. Now, we saw this at, I don't think it was Charlotte maybe. And, well, ARCA does have a rule where I think you just can't jump the start or beat the leader to the restart line. Well, the 28 beat the 55 to the restart line. And although the 28 initially lost the lead, it's not like the 28 jumped the start and then got to an unbelievable lead. He fell back to second. They penalized him. And trust me, I'm not the biggest Connor Mosack fan in the world. I'm not. I mean, he's a good guy. He's always nice to me, but I'm not the biggest Connor Mosack fan. But I'm like, I get it. He can't beat the leader to the line. I get that. But when he doesn't really gain a logistical advantage, like he still fell back to second place. He almost fell back to third place. When he doesn't gain an advantage like that, I feel like you don't really need to penalize in that situation. And they went back to a lot of those penalties that we saw at Charlotte. I believe for the 73, I think it was the 73 in the 2 car that got penalized at Charlotte. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know a couple of cars got penalized at Charlotte, and we discussed the same thing. If they don't get a giant ass advantage when you really jump the start, I don't really see why that needs to be a penalty. I get it. You don't want people to beat the leader to the start finish line. I get that. But at the same time, it's like if they don't gain any real advantage from it, why do you have to penalize them? I feel like maybe there's a little bit of crack in the rule book where we can maybe bend that rule where it's like, okay, if they jump the start and get a clear advantage ahead of the field, then fine. Fine. You can penalize them for that. But if they jump the start and just barely beat the leader to the finish line, I don't see why that has to be a penalty. So, but nonetheless, as we continue, Annunziata made an amazing move. They were nearly 3 wide off of turn 3, and Annunziata actually took the lead. And for a brief moment, I'm like, oh my God, Thomas could win. Until I saw the 28 clearly get right behind the 44, and anybody with a functioning brain could see what was going to happen 1,000 miles away. There was nothing Thomas could do. And by this point, I'm like, crap. I thought he was going to get full sended into turn 4, and he was going to go flying into the corner like Simon Pagenaud did. So, like Simon Pagenaud did. But, yeah, he got shoved into turn 4, unshockingly, nearly got wrecked. Luckily, Thomas saved it somehow, but he fell back to about 5th, and now that was kind of the end of him. Connor Mosack, he was pulling away. But we found out as he was coming to take 2 to go, that he was getting a penalty. It was shown the black flag. He had had a restart violation penalty. And, well, just kind of like with Robbie Gordon, flashbacks to Montreal 2007, which Robbie Gordon was still robbed of that race, by the way. And I'll stand by that. Robbie Gordon won the 2007 Busch race at Montreal. That was a robbery. All he did was just pay Marcus Ambrose back for what he did to him. Yeah. So the 28 gets penalized. So now the race winner is William Sawalich. Well, not the race winner, but the race leader is William Sawalich. And Gio Rogero is second. Like, here we go. It's the 18 and the 20 all over again. We can't escape it. Brent Cruz, he is just trying to haul ass. He hauls ass from about 2 seconds behind, trying to catch the 18. Manages to get by his teammate, the 20, Gio, but unfortunately just not enough time. And William Sawalich is able to hang on one more lap, and I bet the 55 would have got him because Brent had really started to close the gap, but it was just he needed probably one more lap to really close the gap on him to have a chance. But yeah, although he crossed the line first, he did not win the race. I believe he got a 30-second time penalty, which put him at the back of the lead lap. William Sawalich wins. And what shockingly, consider how many races the guy has been in, which is only his, it's the third win. Sorry, guys. It is the third win of the season for the 18 team, but only the second win for Sawalich in his fourth start of the season. Only the second win. He finished 17th at Dover, second at Iowa. Tanner Gray's been doing a lot of the intermediate starts. We'll see William a lot more going forward as more short tracks and dirt races come up. Brent Cruz was second. Gio was third. Thomas Annunziata, nonetheless, a great run for him in fourth place. Marco Andretti. God, Marco finally had a good run. I mean, as much as I feel good for Thomas having a good run, I tell you, Marco had a terrible season coming into this race. They desperately needed this top 5 finish. Marco really needed this run, so I'm very happy for him. I still feel like the Bruce Cook team has some way to go before they can get back to the their winning ways. I know that team is good, but they really, really needed this top 5 finish with Marco. Let's see here. Round out the top 10. Andres Perez de Lara was just kind of solid all day in 6th. Tony Breidinger, 7th. Connor Daly, 8th. Brad Perez, everybody's favorite. Brad Perez gets a 9th place finish for Andy Hillenberg, and Greg Van Elst rounds out with a top 10 finish. Christian Rose was 11th. Tim Richmond, 12th. Connor Mosak, like I said, was pushed back to 13th. Final car on the lead lap. Poor LeVar Scott, another bad finish, 14th. Cody Dennison in his first road course start. He got the car home in one piece. That was his job, 15th. Amber Balkin, 16th. Michael Maples, 17th. Those were the remaining cars that would finish the race. And as we mentioned, Chris Wright, 18th. Alice Club, 19th. Mike Basham, 20th. Nate Moeller, 21st. Andrew Patterson, 22nd. 23rd, Dale Quarterly. 24th, Brad Smith. 25th, Chris Golden. And 26th, Rob Pelosi. So, yeah, definitely a wild one. I agree in the chat. I think we would have lost it if the 44 car had won. Number 1, seeing a different winner, but number 2, seeing a Jeff Gordon throwback. And number 3, Thomas is just good kid. What happened with the 31 car? They blew 2 clutches. If you're just tuning in and you're wondering what happened to 31, they blew 2 clutches. But yeah, like I said, wild race. This was definitely a race where it did not look like the 18 was going to win, but still somehow pulled it off because of course they did. And Gio, for as much as he struggled on the road courses in the West Series, pulled off a 3rd place finish. So that's going to be a big confidence booster for him. The race I thought was pretty good. I mean, not the best ARCA road course race that we've seen in the last couple of years, but not better than Sonoma from the West Series, but better than Portland. I'll give it a 6, 7. I think that's a fair grade. Maybe a 7.5 if you want to give it that. Like I said, the good stories was Brad Perez, man. Brad doesn't run very often. He practiced on 2-year-old tires and 2 straight top 10 finishes for the Andy Hillenberg 10 car. And that's a big positive for that organization. The point standings coming out of this race. Andres Perez de Lara, like I said, he's got a solid handed lead over Greg Van Alst right now, 37 points. I hope these have been updated since Mid-Ohio. They haven't had the best look with doing that. Trying to make sure I have. Hang on, guys. Make sure I have the right points real quick. I'm going to check one of my friends' media websites. Just to make sure I have the correct points. All right, so yeah. Andres Perez de Lara currently has a 37-point gap over Greg Van Alst. Do we give Andres the championship right now, guys? I still don't know. I still don't know if we give the championship. I know 37 points is a big gap, but with how much bigger the car counts have been this year, I mean, I don't think we can still rule out that Greg Van Alst might catch him. Rev Racing's short track program has definitely not been the best, even during Nick Sanchez's 2022 championship season. They definitely were not the class of the field on short tracks. Tracks like Elko, tracks like Berlin, they were not dominant. On. So I feel like Greg Van Alst could definitely close in on tracks like this weekend in Berlin, where the field is so much closer. These are the opportunity tracks for Greg to potentially close back in. LeVar Scott, like I said, he's minus 48. I would say at that point he's too far back. Tony Bradinger, minus 55. She's too far back. Christian Rose, minus 57, too far back. Chris Wright and Amber Balkin are both minus 61. Again, too far back. Michael Maples, Alex Clubb, and Cody Dennison obviously are too far back. So I would still say there's potentially a 2-horse race for the Drivers' Championship, but Greg has to start gaining points back. We still have 12 races to go. So again, I wouldn't rule anything out yet, but Greg cannot afford any more point losses. As for Andres, he's just got to stay consistent, but we really do need to see a main full-time driver win a race this season. We really need to see that. At least Jesse Love did win a lot of races last year en route to his championship win, but we really, really need to see, Andres or LeVar or like a Breidinger or Balkin, just any of the full-time drivers. They need to win once to at least help legitimify, or whatever the word is, this championship for sure. But yeah, and as for the Owners' Championship, where it feels like every year the Owners' Championship is the real battle in the ARCA series. Have they updated the Owners' Championship? Looks like they did. Good. Right now, the Owners' Championship still held by Billy Venturini, the flagship car in the 20, 6 points over the Joe Gibbs 18 car. The Billy Venturini 55 car is minus. Let's see. I'm trying to add to this in my math real quick. 21, minus 21 points for the Billy Venturini 55 car. And the Max Siegel 2 car is 4th, minus 29. And then the Greg Van Alst 35 car is minus 66. So that's a look at your top 5 in the owner standings right now. Obviously, probably a 3-horse, 4-horse race right now for the Owners' Championship, but the owners' points are really where ARCA pays out their money. So for these teams, it really is about the Owners' Championship more than the Drivers' Championship. And I don't mention the 28 team because although it feels like the 28 team runs every week, they are not a full-time team this year. There was no announcements that the 28 was full-time. They did not run. What race did they not run this year? I know they missed one, but they're not at Berlin this weekend, so they are not going to be a full-time team. That's why they are not mentioned. Yeah, Dega. They were not at Talladega. So they will not be. I don't believe they'll be at the dirt races either. Will they? I don't think Connor's running the dirt races. They're not going to be at Berlin. I know they'll be at the Glen with Connor. They'll be at the remaining East races with Connor, but it'll be interesting to see how many more races the 28 team actually does, for sure. So, but yeah, that was Mid-Ohio, a fun race. I hope it comes back next year. It's a fun road course for the series to run on. But yeah, definitely a fun track. Good race. Felt bad for the 28. I know some people didn't because Mosak's a dirty driver, but man, I still felt like that penalty was just a little bit unwarranted because the 28 really didn't do anything wrong. But now we transition our focus, guys, into Berlin. And, well, this track has always been kind of known for one thing in the ARC series, bad car counts. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Berlin, but this track just cannot get good car counts to save its life. It's always been one of the lowest counted tracks on the ARC circuit. For all the positivity about bigger car counts, this track just seems to struggle. We only had 17 in 2021. We had 18 in 2018, and then we didn't come here in 2019 or 2020. 17 in both 2021 and 2022. We had 18 cars last year. This year we have, how many do we have this year? I think we have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We got 20 cars. So at least in terms of an actual number, we have more cars. So that is an improvement right there. That really is, because like I said, these Berlin races have been very dull. They've been very dull with the lack of full race cars. It's hard to really build a race when you only have maybe 10, 10, 15, not even 15 cars, like 10, 11 cars running the whole race. It's just hard to really build something on that. Last year's race was about not all too eventful up until the last couple laps. Jesse Love having mechanical problem, allowing William Sawalich to steal the win. Literally with 3 laps to go, stole the win away from Jesse Love. But yeah, like in this race last year, we had 3 starting parks, so we only had 14 cars going the distance. 12 finished. But it does look a little bit more competitive this year on the bright side. We're going to go through the entry list for Berlin as follows, starting from the top and going to the bottom. So we start off with the 2 of Andres Perez de Lara, the 6 of LeVar Scott. Matt Kemp returns in the Andy Hillenberg 10 car. Not sure if that's going to be a start and park entry or not. Hope he runs the whole race, though. Cody Dennison in the 11, Ryan Roulette in the 12. Chris Wright, of course, in the 15. William Sawalich in the 18. Sean Hingorani, how about that? What a return for him. He's back in the Venerini car. Not sure if this is just a one-off or not. Amber Balkin in the 22. Tony Breidinger in the 25, of course. Tim Goulet, not Rita, but Tim Goulet will be driving his own 31 car. Christian Rose in the 32. Greg Van Elst in the 35. Brad Smith, of course, in the 48. Gavin Bushell from, I believe, the Cars Tour, right? From the Cars Tour. He will be in the 55 for Billy Venerini. Chris Golden in the 86. Dale Shear, in a rare main series appearance, will be in the 98. Michael Maples in the 99. The 03 of Alex Clubb, and the 06 of Nate Moeller. So 20 cars overall. In terms of starting parks, it's kind of hard to judge, but I would easily say the 48 will be a starting park. Brad's just trying to wait to this break so we can get a good look at his motor. The 06, if Nate's driving, it might be a starting park, but Nate might run some laps. He's not going to run like 2 laps. Dale doesn't usually start and park that much. He's kind of 50-50 on it. I think he'll try to run the whole race. I think he will, because he tried to run the whole race at Iowa. The only reason why Dale pulled off at Iowa was because he didn't want to tear anything up. He didn't want to hurt the car. So he was supposed to go the distance. And then the 86, of course. So I think of the 20 entries, you got 16 or 17 full race cars, which, hey, is pretty good compared to, like I said, last year when we only had 12. We only had 12 last year, and the year before that, in 2022, we only had 8 cars finish that one. And then in 2021, I think we only had like 9 or 10 finish that one as well. So we could be looking at finally a halfway decent race at Berlin, which is so sorely needed. But yeah, Dale will go halfway. Okay, I mean Dale will go halfway, but yeah, that's good. But sorry, guys. But yeah, Berlin has just kind of been one of the lackluster tracks on the schedule. It wouldn't make me sad if the track didn't come back next year. I would be in favor of, my opinion, getting rid of Berlin and adding back another date to Salem, personally, or just go to a different track in general. Maybe I would love the series to go back to Winchester. A lot of people would love to go back to Winchester. But I don't know. Berlin's not getting it done with their car counts. They're just not. It is the best car count we've seen in over 5 years, yes. But, yeah. Pocono might be coming back. Oh, boy. I'm not the biggest fan of Pocono. I'd rather have Berlin than Pocono, personally. I don't like seeing 20-car fields or 25-car fields run Pocono. It's just not all that good. I would love the main series. To go to the Nashville Fairgrounds. I've been pledging that. I mean, the East Series at the Nashville Fairgrounds just isn't all that good. The main series at Nashville Fairgrounds would be a banger. Yeah, okay, yeah, you live in Pennsylvania, so by default you have to be a fan of Pocono. But yeah, it should be a fun race as usual. Definitely more competition and then this race the last couple years. But like I said, the Rev entries really just have not shown the speed. Yeah, they're up there. But like even last year, Andres Perez de Lara, he started 6th and he finished 4th. He really wasn't all that competitive. He finished a lap down. So like he'll be up there, but I don't see him being any competitive towards the win. I would say your winners. He's only asking $8,500. I mean, that's still a lot of money, even for a guy like me. But yeah, obviously William Sawalich is the favorite. I'm going to go ahead and pick him. He won last year, so I'm going to pick him. But I still think you could probably throw in maybe Chris Wright, maybe a Gavin Bushell, because he's going to be aggressive in his debut. But I don't know. Or maybe even Sean Hingorani, because the guy can race like an idiot sometimes. But I don't know. I think this is going to be an easy win for the 18. I think this is going to be an easy win for the 18 car this weekend. They just, they really do well on tracks like this. I don't know. Maybe Venerini has something for the 18 this weekend. But I just think William, especially that William has run here now the last 2 years. Maybe Sean, but I still think Sawalich is going to win, and I'll go with Gavin Bushell as my underdog pick. We'll go with that. So you can find this race. This will be televised. It will be a televised race. I'm going to look at the entry blank real quick so we can talk about that for a quick second. Berlin 2024. This race will be on FS1 at 8:30 30 Central Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. First place is $5,000. Again, one of the lower paying races is this one. 20th place is $1,000. 10,300 for first with all contingency awards. 5,775 for second and 4,000 for third. It is of course, a one-day show. ARCA haulers enter in early at around 11 o'clock, and we race at 8. The one thing that's kind of funny about these short track races is 200 laps, but it's only 88 miles. So when you talk about putting motors on an engine, I keep forgetting that these ARCA races are so short that they're really not putting a lot of mileage on these motors in terms of Ilmore's and changing in ability. So if only Ilmore's prices were a lot better, right? You know, they were, now they're not. So in terms of the next race at IRP, I will admit right now, I am looking at trying to run that race. I have been in talks, trying to get in talks, haven't had trouble. I've had trouble getting in touch with some people, but if it can work out, I might be in the race at IRP. Not announcing anything else other than that, though, but I'm trying. I'm going to be at IRP regardless because I'm going to Indianapolis for the big Brickyard 400 weekend, and I'm going to try my best to try to see if I can get into the ARCA race there. So we'll see. We'll see if I can get into that race. So hopefully I'll have an announcement either that I am or that I'm not soon for you guys. But yeah, so anyway, guys, still managed to go 46 minutes. Damn, I didn't think I'd be here this long. And it's 9:05. It's been a late night, guys. It's been a long day. Thank God we still have a house. I don't believe we suffered any damage. I don't believe we suffered any damage from our tornadoes and storm. Thank God. We're all still in one piece here. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week with the Berlin review. Yeah, no preview show next week. It is just going to be a review show next week of Berlin. So till next time, enjoy the rest of your night. I'm probably going to go to bed because it's late now. I'm used to doing this at around 7:30, 7 to 8 o'clock, not 9 o'clock. But I still thank you all for joining me. We had a pretty decent audience tonight for what I didn't think was going to be a very big attended show, but thank you all for, again, supporting the show. Hopefully, eventually, I can get into the ARCA series. The 1 year I want to run it. Everybody else wants to, and it's impossible for me to find a ride. Go figure. So, take care, guys. I'm going to give you all the goodbye salute. And again, don't forget to follow me. Don't forget to subscribe. You know, all that crap that I keep, crapping you guys every week. And yeah, take care. So long. Bye-bye.